Let's turn to tech. Bloomberg reporting Microsoft discussed selling Bing to Apple in a deal that would have replaced Google as the default iPhone search engine. Ed Ludlow, how about this one?
Yeah, it's interesting, Jonathan. Apple up 0.7%. It had been up in the region of 1% in the early minutes of Friday's session. Do we draw a causal link with the Bloomberg reporting and the share move higher on Apple and Microsoft? Probably not. But according to Bloomberg sources, in 2020, Microsoft execs met with Eddie Q, who's Apple Services chief. They had early stage talks for Apple to acquire Bing, Microsoft's search engine, and make it the default search engine on iPhone. Those talks were exploratory. They never reached an advanced stage. And of course, Google remains the default search on the iPhone. But the point here is that in the background, the trial is ongoing between the Department of Justice and Google over dominance of its search product. Apple and Google, the parent company now known as Alphabet, have had a search deal in place since 2002. It started with the browser for Mac and it has expanded to other devices. And as we have learned through the course of this trial, this is a piece of business for Apple that ranges from $4 to $7 billion annually in what Google pays Apple to have its Google search engine prominent on Apple's device base. When Eddie Q, the Apple Services chief, gave his testimony in recent days about Google search dominance, he basically explained that Apple and iPhone use Google because it's the best product. So this is a backward-looking piece of Bloomberg reporting. The stocks are notably higher in a market that's up 1%, I think you said, on the NASDAQ 100, John.
Yeah.
But goodness, imagine if that had gone through.
Well, it's one for the history books, maybe. And I do wonder whether the AI frenzy that's happened since changes the prospect of anything happening ever again.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, lots of hypotheses have been put forward broadly on M&A, whether Apple would actually be able to do anything in this environment under Lina Khan's FTC. But you know, Apple has kept quiet on the AI front in terms of a generative AI tool, a consumer-facing generative AI tool or chatbot. But they've really talked up their history and competence in machine learning and AI. So I think it's interesting insofar as that, you know, Google hopes to maintain a lead in search. And the point with Bing is that it would have been a competitor. AI is now very relevant to the search market, but Bing remains only 10% of it. So it is very backward-looking, and it is a what might have been, but it also gives you a kind of lens into what Apple thinks about when it does think about M&A and when it does think about being competitive itself.